Jesus. Hey, everybody. Mike Donahue here, and Brian. Really, honest to God, I wish you guys.
You guys were here like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't listen to us after that. Hey, everybody. We had a great week. We had a little over 100, almost 100 views of our last State of the podcast, and it went well. And I had actually somebody reached out to me today, and they were watching it, and they were saying that they really liked it a lot and liked the heart of it,
Yeah.
And this is what Brian and I are trying to do, is really trying to get to the heart of God and what He, again, we keep saying this. We're not trying to bash the church, even though we do at times. We're really trying. We're upset with the way the church portrays Jesus, really. It makes him look stupid. And if he was your son, or if he was your family member, which he is because he's your father, he's your God. But if you're a Christian, but if he was that to you and somebody was misrepresenting him, you'd be upset about that. And that's the way I feel about it. Is I get more upset really when they misrepresent him. So that's kind of where we're at. So,
yeah. The other thing that I hope people really understand is that, Mike and I are like, we're real boys, right? I mean, we are trying to be honest and transparent. And I mean, sometimes, reminiscing about this stuff touches something. And it brings up emotions, and it brings up memories that, obviously tell us both we still have things to process, but we're not trying to hide anything here, not trying to be posers, fakers.
Right. The virtue signaling, Brian, I thought, even after we get off the podcast, I was thinking more about that and about how, that's what the church really does is really forces people to present an image. And it reminds me of a story. When I was a youth pastor up in Rockford, Illinois, and I was the spiritual life director of the high school, a couple of girls from the high school, Christian Life, got on the radio station, the secular radio station, and basically mimicked it. There was a couple of girls that had come on before, requested a song, and they said, "Hey, we're the horny cheerleaders from Guilford High School." So it was a public school there in town, and so these girls got on, and they were from Christian Life, and they're eighth grade girls, and eighth grade girls are the craziest people on the planet. I speak to them every day in my life, and they're nuts. And so they got on the thing, and they said, "Hey, could we request a song, Madonna, or something like that?" And so the guy goes, "Oh yeah, sure. Who am I hearing from?" And these girls go, "We're the horny cheerleaders from Christian." Oh, you would have thought somebody lit the building. I mean, I came in Monday morning, and it was the talk. It was like, "Oh, did you hear what happened?" It was freaking out, and some parent had taped it. I don't know how they did this. There was a cassette tape of it on my desk on Monday morning, and they're like, "Something's gonna be done," And at first I was arguing. I'm like, "No, don't do anything about this. Like, just let it go. It's not a big deal. Like, they're eighth grade girls. Yeah. They're crazier than pet raccoons. They're nuts." Used to that, right? They weren't going to listen. They're like, "No, we've got to take a stand for righteousness." So they made me take them to the girls. I had to take the two girls to the radio station and knock on the door and go to the DJ and say, "We're sorry for saying horny cheerleaders," And so they did. And it was like a fool's errand. So I took them out for breakfast first, and we, and I'm like, "Girls, what are you thinking?" Like, we weren't, of course, you're eighth grade girls. So we get there, we do the whole thing, and then, okay, so this is kind of funny. About 3 months later, because me and the DJ kind of hit it off. We talked for like an hour. He was from Omaha, actually. He was, yeah. So we just kind of.
Now, before you tell the rest of the story, I'm sure he fell down on his knees and thanked them profusely because they had previously destroyed his faith in eighth grade humanity, right?
Yes. Yeah. It was like, thank God somebody stood up for the righteousness of God. He was looking at us like, okay. Like, these girls like, "We're sorry for saying horny cheerleaders."
He was probably waiting. He's probably waiting for the prank, right?
Yeah. "Are you filming this? Is this what?" So, okay. So fast forward 3 months later, I'm walking through the mall with my wife, and I see this guy, and I know him. He's looking at me. He's like, he knows me. but we can't place it yet. So finally he passes me, and I hear horny cheerleaders. Right? So he remembered. And turned around, my wife, she's like, "What the hell?" And his girlfriend's like, "What are you talking about?" So, anyways, we ended up, talking in the mall and writing notes. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing was so ridiculous. It was like just, I don't know, just like they took that behavior, and really what it came down to, Brian, is that, on the radio they hurt the brand, right?
Yeah,
They
right.
hurt, and we're supposed to have good kids at Christian Life, not horny cheerleaders. These girls didn't even know what it means. Like they didn't know what it meant. Like I just being stupid. Let it go. Like,
So imagine. I mean, bring it around. Like, if that was your daughter and you heard that on the radio, you'd probably chuckle and you'd probably pull her aside and say, you know what, that's kind of bad for him. Maybe back away from that. But I mean, you're not going to act like I don't know. You're not going to act like we've got this existential crisis on our hand because my
God.
8th grade daughter said something stupid on the radio.
Yeah, it was a PR nightmare is what it was. They made it into a PR nightmare. Yeah. It didn't have to be.
And what Nobody business, and by the way, what business does the school have? I guess they use their brand, right? That was their only thing. Right. Yeah. Got to protect the brand, got to put out the image.
Yeah. And I'm not even going to call this bad behavior. I think it's just stupid behavior, but the idea that, again, that virtue signaling says, you hurt the brand. You weren't, you didn't represent us. The image got tainted. And, it always goes, for me, it just always goes back to any kind of bad behavior, to me, is an indicator that it's bad belief, right? It should be, what we should do is go, if that's bad behavior, what's going on inside these girls that think that's okay, and we should help them. I mean, I don't even think it's that critical, but let's say it was.
Yeah.
You go into that. You go, what, are you okay? What's going on? Are you all right? Is everything all right at home? Are you being hurt? Are you, I don't know, like going into what's going on inside of them instead of worrying about what the school looks like. Who gives a rap?
Right. Now let's imagine that it was something serious, right? Not just, girls being dumb. I still think that, again, from what I know in my experience, the school authorities would have tried to deal with the behavior, and not gone past the behavior to what's going on inside the student, the young person. And this applies to adults as well. And that right there is just a fundamental failing. Like we talked about the mission of the church. That's a fundamental failing. That is not what I would call, Christ-like. I won't reiterate all my favorite stories from Jesus encountering people in the New Testament, but we don't see that there. And it just tells us that there's something else that's more important than the well-being of that person in the motive of correcting that, right?
Yeah. My favorite story on that with Jesus is when he was eating on the Sabbath, and he simply said, the Sabbath is the Sabbath is for the people, not the people for the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Right? They get it backwards, right?
Right.
The rules are, if there's a rule at all, it's to help people become better people,
right, and
have a better life. The rules aren't to be worshipped. The people weren't created for the rules to be followed.
Right.
It's the opposite.
Right.
And Jesus' heart was that. It was, hey, we're eating because we're hungry. And that's the way it goes.
Right. Yeah. And when it comes right down to it, if you put two people up in front of most people, I think, and one of them, looks like, or will signal to you that they do everything perfect, they have everything perfect, they're blah, blah, blah. And you have another one that says, dishonest. Let's just say they're honest. And they're, who are you going to believe? Who are you going to pick? Who are you going to say that's an authentic person? You're going to pick the person who's real, who's honest. And if we want to be good communicators with whoever, we need to be authentic. We need to be honest. If we want to get our message across, we need to be authentic, and we need to be honest.
Right. This Sunday, just for a little prelude of what we're going to do, Brian and I decided we're going to talk a little bit about that school shooting up Abundant Life in Wisconsin. I worked at a Christian school, like I said, for like 5 years. Actually, more than that, because in Denver I worked at one too. But we'll get into this. We'll unpack this. We don't know all the details yet, but Christian schools can be a breeding ground for that kind of signaling, that virtue signaling, and it can shut honesty down.
Yep.
And shut what's really going on inside of somebody down. We don't know what's happened with this girl and why she was that triggered and angry. It might not have anything to do with the school. Maybe she just took it out on the school. But my guess is that there was some kind of communication to her about, her life, and she didn't see it that way. And we'll unpack this, but I do a lot of work with schools that have had shootings. I've been to several of them. Parkland was the last one that I was at, and I was there 5 times. And I made the comment in my book that person died before he got there. I remember watching that live when they were going through that. And I even looked at my wife and said that person was already dead, because C.J. Kesterson, I love this quote. He said that when a man kills a man, he kills a man. But when a man kills himself, he kills all men. Everybody's dead to him. So when that girl walked into that school, she was already dead on the inside. Something killed her. Something killed her. Who knows what it was? We'll find out probably more as we go. But I want to talk about that. I want Sunday to be, this is my world. And, I really would like to unpack that. So if you've got something you want to say or a comment or that kind of thing before Sunday, get a hold of us, because we'll mention it or, include it. So, Brian, it was a good podcast. Don't be a horny cheerleader. I'm not going to be. So,
yay, Raw. Go team.
Go Chiefs. Sorry. We're going to get kicked off the internet.
We need to act our
All right,
age.
guys. Have a good week.
See
Take care.
y'all. Bye.
Bye.